Today we're going to talk about this lens. I've had many lenses from Fujifilm to Leica to Sigma to even Nikon lenses. And this one stands out because I think it's something that people don't really know about. And there are a bunch of reasons that I just love it so much. But before I get into it, I want to talk about what I look for in a lens. So I really enjoy vintage lenses because it's easy enough to find a lens that's very clean and sharp and flare resistant these days. But vintage lenses have, I don't know, they have so much character. And I've talked about it in my previous videos, and we talk about it all the time, like character lenses, right? I love that about vintage lenses. They're not clinical and clean and perfectly flare resistant per se, but it's kind of like a balance. There's like the age of the lens, there's the price that it is now used, there's the performance compared to its age, and then there's like the rendering and the character, the sharpness. All these things are kind of flowing in a balance. And this lens specifically is very unique in that way. And to me, I think that it's very cinematic. And here's the cliche, YouTuber saying that cinematic is used too much. Okay, yeah, whatever. But like when I see photos that I've shot with this lens and video that I shoot with this lens, it's like, oh, it looks like that was shot for a movie. And oh man, it's so good. And it's hard to describe, and it's taken me 3 years to like really fully understand it, owning this lens. But I feel like I understand the reason that I love it so much. So the first reason that I love it so much is that this lens has a certain special flair to it. And you can see that in this footage because I'm using this lens for this shot here. That there's like the flare coming in through the window. It's like a veiling flare. And it's so like, oh, it's so good. But then there's also other types of flare that it'll create based on the light source. So there's the flare where it's like, it's still a veiling like haze kind of flare, but there's like a hard line, and then it's as if you used a graduated ND or a graduated filter in Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One that, what are those called? Anyways, there's like a hard line and then graduates into, a haze of flare. It's so cool. I also, in the early days of owning this lens, I thought that there was some kind of problem with it because there would be this haze when shot, outside. I only shot it on film for a while because I guess I did shoot it on film and digital, but I primarily shot it on film for a while on my M3, and there was a certain hazy collection based on where I was facing outside for outdoor photos, more in the distance, based on the light source of the sun. And so for a while I was like, I don't like that. But then after a few years, I learned how to control it and realized this isn't a defect. This is part of the lens and the way that it flares. And it's really cool. So that's another part of this flare that's amazing to me. The second thing I love about this lens is the rendering. And I use rendering to describe sharpness, bokeh, and contrast. So you'll see that it's very sharp, just like the 50mm Summicron that I reviewed before. It's very sharp, but it's lower contrast. This lens especially is very low contrast. I was shocked when I was editing images between my 50mm Sigma f1.4 art lens on my SL2S versus this lens on my SL2S. And I love the Sigma, it's great, okay. But this lens was way gentler in every way. And I think gentle is a good way to put it because the contrast is lower and the roll off actually from the shadows into the highlights is beautiful. I love it so much. And so that's another thing I love about this lens, and that is part of the rendering, right? So the sharpness, but the lower contrast, and then the bokeh is beautiful. It's not like the Summicron, it is not a Summicron bokeh. And I've started to actually really identify what is Summicron bokeh now that I have the 50mm dual range, but also the 50mm Summicron R. But it's not Summicron-y at all. It's smooth and soft and gentle, and it's a 90mm lens at f2.8. So if you're in the mirrorless or DSLR world, you're like, that's not much depth of field for 90mm because I have an 85mm f1.2 and it's about the size of a basketball. It's like, yes, I get that. But I still love this lens, and I don't even care that it's 2.8 versus f2 versus f1.5 or whatever. I don't care. I love this lens. The separation is nuts. It's beautiful for f2.8. And it actually falls off very fast. Like when I'm focusing on my SL2S, it's like, eye in focus, ear out of focus, even though it's f2.8. It's wild how quick that fall off is, which is sweet. I love it. And another thing I love about this lens is that you can get it for $800 or $900 pretty easily, which is similar to the 50mm dual range Summicron that I reviewed before, which is right here. And so, $800 or $900 can get you a beautifully performing lens that has beautiful rendering and amazing flare. Now, that leads me into the next thing that I love about this lens, and that is the performance. And performance, takes into factor the rendering, but it performs unbelievably well. At 2.8, this lens performs perfectly. At 5.6 or f8, it's ridiculous. They're perfect lenses. Kind of like Kevin Fickling said that the version 2 Summicron, which is what the dual range is basically an Apo lens when you stop it down to f5.6 and f8, which he said that after I made my video on it, but I totally agree. It was very validating to hear that. This lens is no different. It's the rendering, the sharpness, the detail, it's perfect. And I think that high amount of sharpness, micro contrast, and then the lower overall contrast is a perfect blend for everything. But I love finding lenses that kind of are unexpectedly amazing. Because, I've been balling on a budget in my freelance career for the past 4 years, just trying to scrap around and build my brand and get better and, shoot what I can. And I want extremely high quality, but can't really afford an Apo lens yet. And so I figured it out, and I figured it out with this lens. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. It renders so well. And then the other thing I love about this lens is the way it feels in the hand. So you'll notice that I've switched lenses over here, and the image is much higher contrast, more sharpness. Maybe not more sharpness, but the contrast is way higher because this is the Leica 24-70 f2.8. And so I switched lenses so that I can show you this lens here. And here it is. So this is the Leica 90mm Elmarit-M. So it is an f2.8 aperture lens. And I love the look of it. I love the design of the body, the barrel. It reminds me of the 50mm Summilux spherical, which is a lens that I've been wanting for forever. That's my goal, is to get that 50mm Summilux spherical. And so I love the body design, and I figured this is a good, balance for me. And one thing I really love about it is that the focus throw is very smooth. It's so nice. And it's really satisfying. It's a high quality Leica lens. The tactility of a lens matters, especially an M lens, because you're physically using the lens. You are focusing it, and you are using the aperture. Other lenses that are autofocus, if it's a prime lens, maybe you're controlling everything from the camera anyways. So the tactility per se may not matter as much, but this one's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's a Leica lens, It's an anodized lens. It's not brass. If it were brass, it'd be way heavier. It's already a tank of a lens. It just feels amazing to hold. I was amazed because this was my first Leica lens that I ever bought, and I loved the way it felt. I was like, oh, wow. For how small this is, it's a tank. It's so heavy. So here are some sample images with this lens. lot of people in the Leica world don't shoot much on 90 millimeters. And I think that's interesting. One reason would be that with a rangefinder, as you increase the focal length, so going from 35 to 50 to 90, your hit rate is going to be less than the wider focal length because you're using the same rangefinder patch to focus the image, but the depth of field is shallower at the given aperture. And so focusing this 90 millimeter lens at f2.8, it's similar to 50 at f2, probably maybe 50 at f1.4, maybe 50 at f1.4, one of those. Either way, it's harder to focus on a rangefinder. On film, I never noticed this because I shot it on my M3 and it wasn't a big deal to me. It may have, missed focus by a hair, but it's film, and film is much more forgiving when that comes to that. So I didn't really, run into that issue very much. And then I shot it on my M240. I started shooting it on there when I got that camera, and I was like, oh no, it's off. The calibration was off, and it was really disappointing at first. And what that means is that the rangefinder patch, when it's lined up, it means like it's inaccurate to the technical markings on the lens. And so when it looks like it's focused in the rangefinder patch in the window, it's actually not. So it's either, focused in the front or focused in the back. So then I did a little research, talked to my friend Sean Cook, and figured out that you can just you can adjust the rangefinder pretty easily with a little hex wrench on the camera itself. So I did that a few times, and it's much better now. I still got to be careful. And I think that's why people shy away from 90 millimeters on a rangefinder. Some people say that it's impossible to focus or that it's too hard to focus. And to that, I'm like, I mean, you can say anything's too hard. Like, I don't know, like that argument never ends. So if people say that about rangefinders quite a bit. People who don't shoot rangefinder much, who don't shoot Leica M very much, they're like, yeah, but it's not going to be reliable for this or that because it's a rangefinder. You don't really know if it's in focus, or you can't shoot anything past 50 mil on that, or 75 maybe, because the image is not going to be in focus. And what that betrays is, first, the dedication to get good at something. I think that people give up before trying. And perhaps if you told a person that, they would be like, yeah, but I don't care enough. Oh, and that's totally fine. If you don't care enough to try to do that, okay, sweet. Rangefinders maybe aren't your style of camera, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that rangefinders are too difficult or that 90 mil is not a good focal length. Because there's other people like me who I love rangefinders. That's the way I see. It just makes sense to me. So I'm dedicated to it. So I'm putting in the work to be able to focus this 90 millimeter lens accurately. And I think Ben Heish is a great example of this because for years he shot weddings on only Leica M. And he said he got really good at, focusing 50 millimeter f1.4 of a couple walking down the aisle at a wedding. And that's skill that I still have not achieved, even though I use rangefinders at weddings. That's really impressive. And so I'm reminded that, yeah, anything's possible. It's just, do you care about investing in that? And if you don't care about investing in that, totally fine. It's not for you. That's okay. But I think I would encourage people to try the 90 millimeter. It's a wonderful focal length. I love the compression it gives. It's so beautiful. And this lens in particular is gorgeous, not very expensive. You get an insanely high quality lens that is not that crazy expensive. It's not a crazy investment. For a vintage lens that renders so beautifully in today's standards. And so, I think I would challenge you as the audience to try things that seem impossible or difficult. Because whenever someone says that's ridiculous, that's that's the indicator to me that they're wrong. If someone says about, let's say the Leica cameras without screens, the D series, or the MD, M10D, M11D, so many people are like, that's ridiculous. There's no screen. They're just trying to price gouge and charge way more for less. And it's like, okay, well, that's not the point. But because people are all crazy about it, I'm like, get it, like go for it, Leica. That is so cool. And to me, like those cameras are, I love that. I love that concept because I tend to shoot very well on my M3. I get more keepers for less shots overall than with digital ever. So I'm like, okay, well, there's a magic there. And I can make a whole other video about that. Maybe I will. But all that to say, there are always going to be naysayers, but it doesn't matter. And that's why this whole YouTube world gets a little crazy sometimes, right? It's the Wild West of opinions. And like people drum up gear acquisition syndrome like crazy. And, you know, at the end of the day, just do your research, be honest with yourself, figure out what you think you would love, try it, and then just work with it for years. And don't get all caught up in getting a new lens all the time, right? I've had this since 2021. It's now 2024, and I never really plan on selling it. I love this lens, and I've used it time and time and time and time again. And as regards gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS as they call it, like there are absolutely times where, you know, with this lens or with other lenses or with my M240 even, I've been kind of bumming on it. Like, I don't know, maybe I should just get rid of it. It's maybe like I'm in a slump of like creatively speaking, like not using it well or not feeling like it's doing well enough. And then just kind of push through that. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I have this lens, you know? So I don't know. I think we all could use a little chill when it comes to our gear and just learn to love the tools that we love and just appreciate what they can do for us because, you know, these are great tools. And you can create world-class work on much less than this even. So there you have it. This lens is one of my favorites. It's beautiful. It renders, in my opinion, perfectly. It is the perfect balance. And I know I said that the 50mm Summicron dual range from the 60s is the perfect balance, but yeah, so is this. I don't care. Like, they're both wonderful. And that's the magic of Leica lenses. End of story. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And Lord willing, I'll make more videos because Gadget Balin told me I need to make more videos. So I will.